Hello, my name is Lucas. This is a bit of lit. It is Vlogmas Day 3, and I would have gone out to show a little bit of Shanghai for this Vlogmas. However, I have to do a makeup class late at night, so even though I finished up pretty early and the sun was still out, I am sort of trapped being at home, just waiting to do the makeup class online. And I have a lot of feelings about that. None of them are worth discussing. I am so glad next week is the last week that this kind of thing can and will happen. It's driving me a little bit crazy. And it's the reason didn't have time to do Poetry Thursday last week. So we're gonna make up for that. I'm gonna make 2 Poetry Thursday videos this week. One based on a recommendation for Bob Kaufman poem, because I liked that recommendation. And we're gonna read this one by a modern Chinese poet who was a factory worker in Shenzhen for Foxconn, which is a Taiwanese electronics manufacturing company. They possibly made the iPhone I'm making this video with. I think they work with Sony and Nintendo and Xiaomi to make electronics. About a decade ago, they were in a lot of trouble for labor rights because a lot of their employees were committing suicide in droves, mind you. And unfortunately, in 2014, the poet in question today, LiZhi, hopefully I said that right. I tried to figure out what the tones were. He did the same in 2014. A lot of his poems were published posthumously, I mean. Yeah, he's an interesting poet. I would like to read I Swallowed a Moon Made of Iron for you, and then we can feel the power of it. Feel the power of poetry. I think this is the kind of poem. I can read it a little bit in Chinese, but I don't know every single word, so, and some of it's a little bit difficult for me to understand, even if I do understand one of the lines, but I'll just read it in English because you don't, understand Chinese, most likely, unless a Chinese person comes across this, I suppose. I swallowed a moon made of iron. They refer to it as a nail. I swallowed this industrial sewage, these unemployment documents. Youth stooped at machines die before their time. I swallowed the hustle and the destitution, swallowed pedestrian bridges, life covered in rust. I can't swallow anymore. All that I've swallowed is now gushing out of my throat, unfurling on the land of my ancestors into a disgraceful poem. And it seems that was published December 19th, 2013. And it is just, I saw it on Twitter from this Chinese guy posting some things about Chinese literature, like this sort of proletarian poetry and these kind of things. And I was incredibly moved. And it made me really consider, I'm reading, it makes me feel bad about the way I live my life. I'm using my phone, which possibly was created last year for Apple, possibly created by the company that he worked for as a factory worker. And, I know things have changed, hopefully for the better. I don't know too much about what factory life is like. I think my girlfriend's sister works in a factory. I don't know what kind. But I was seeing a lot of these photos of factory life. This photographer who was a a factory worker, and just the conditions that people work in to make our electronics or make different toys or clothes or whatever, and the way they live, because they have dorms, and you know, just all sorts of different things. And you know, I'm looking at a computer or a monitor, or a TV, I guess, which I use as a monitor, using my computer, which is another piece of electronics, next to my Nintendo Switch, looking at my iPhone currently. And you know, these things have a cost, and they cost me money. They cost other people their life, dexterity. So yeah, it's really moving in a way, and I appreciate that. I think it's a very powerful poem, and recommend me more poems like this. I really like it, okay? Even though it hurts me. Will it change the way I live my life? Certainly I'm, you know, these kind of things make me realize how, really, truly how privileged of a life I live. I mean, like, man. I always feel like I have a lot of trouble because I owe a ton of money to the U.S. Department of Education, and I always feel poor. But I also have a very nice life teaching English and essay writing and grammar and these kind of things to kids in the upper class in here, urbanites. And these are, you know, migrant workers. He was probably a migrant worker that came to Shenzhen to work for Foxconn, and his only release was poetry, and unfortunately his life was cut short. And it does make me think, you know, I can cut back. I do I do want to get a computer soon, a laptop, to make my life at work easier. But I, you know, reading this kind of thing makes me, you know, okay, I want to make sure that I get if I'm gonna do that kind of thing, it has an impact on factory workers, on people that mine for the resources that are used to make the parts that the factory workers will use. And yeah, I want to make sure that if and when I do that, that I get something that will last as long as possible. And I've gotten by without one for basically a year, if not more. So do I really need it? It will make my life at work much easier, so I tell myself yes, but I don't totally need it. But now I have issues with my computer currently. Anyway, I'm arguing with myself. This kind of thing makes me think that I will probably get a computer and I will feel very guilty about it. But yeah, that was that poem. 书理智, your choices have an impact on people all over the world, and you should be grateful for the life that you live. And recognize how privileged you are to not be in a position where your choice is working in terrible labor conditions or starve and this kind of thing. Anyway, I've been going on too long. Goodbye.